If you enjoy Weekly Spooky, then it's safe to say you enjoy audiobooks. Audible is the best place to find content ranging from horror thrillers by Stephen King to the best biographies and nonfiction available. We at Weekly Spooky are thrilled to offer you a free 30-day trial at Audible when you go to audibletrial.com/spooky. An Audible subscription gives you access to one free audiobook credit every month that is yours to keep, and the credits roll over if you don't use them. And they also offer you free unlimited listening to Audible original shows and podcasts. There is so much great content to listen to, I'm sure you can find something good to enjoy between our episodes of the show. So go to audibletrial.com/spooky and try it today. You'll get great audiobooks and also support Weekly Spooky.
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Well, hello, my friends. It's Wednesday, so I guess it's time for a little spooky in your weekly. This is our first episode of 2022, and it's going to be a very fun and scary year. I hope you're all doing very well. I'm doing excellent, and I want to say a humongous thank you to all of you out there listening, because you guys have shown me so much support in the last few weeks. I'm honestly floored. The Patreon has exploded not only with new contributors, but also with positive comments and so much support. I'm really very grateful. And if you want to get involved today, go to weeklyspooky.com, click on Patreon, and you can help us keep bringing the show to you every single week. I really do appreciate it. It's been honestly very stunning to see how many people are stepping up. We're at over 80 patrons, and I'd love to see 100. You can get involved for as little as $1 a month. This January, I'll be releasing a very special exclusive video on the Patreon about how I make these shows, and I would love for you to be able to see it. So thank you again. I really cannot say it enough. But anyway, my friends, we have a very special treat for you. We have our first mini-series on the podcast. That's right, this week is part 1 of 4 in Rob Field's incredible, mysterious, and gruesome terror tale. I've been looking forward to this for months, and now it's time for you to enjoy the first installment. A story that makes you think about what truly makes family, and are you stuck with those you share blood with? And of course, there will be so much blood. So enjoy the story, get comfortable, and I'll catch you afterward with a little bit more. But for now, let's listen. Prom Queen Killer by Rob Fields, part 1 of 4. Laura Lee Hardy was sitting in the back seat, texting with someone, when she felt her older brother, Aiden, glaring at her from the front seat. Laura Lee tried to ignore Aiden, but he made sure that was all but impossible. "Texting with your little girlfriend again?" he sneered. Laura Lee continued with her conversation despite Aiden. Their mother, Ridge, was driving on a busy freeway in Shore City. "Aiden, leave your sister alone, please," Ridge asked calmly. "I just asked Laura Lee a question, Mom," Aiden replied defiantly. Then he repeated his question to Laura Lee with more aggression. When Laura Lee still wouldn't answer Aiden, he reached in back and snatched her phone. "Give that back!" Laura Lee yelled. When Aiden started reading through the text conversation, Laura Lee reached up to reclaim her smartphone. Aiden quickly brought his elbow up and hit her in the face. "Aiden!" Ridge snapped. "She is your sister. You do not strike Laura Lee like that." Aiden shook his head, slowly. "No, Laura Lee ain't my sister. I don't have family that's queer," Before Ridge could go off on him again, he held up the phone with the text app open. Look at this shit. Look at it. Laura Lee's been texting her new girlfriend. You can read it all right here. My life is none of your goddamn business, Aiden, Laura Lee shrieked. Give me my fucking phone back. And you, watch your language, both of you, Ridge admonished them. But your daughter's a lesbian, Aiden yelled at her. That means she's got her tongue in another girl's. I know perfectly well what a lesbian is, Ridge snapped. But what you don't know is that your daughter is one, Aiden persisted. Yeah, I caught Laura Lee out at the football field at our high school sucking tongues with Deborah Lehman, the very same queer bitch she's texting right now. God damn it, Aiden, give me my phone back, Laura Lee screamed. Right now! Aiden, give Laura Lee her phone back, Ridge commanded. Now. But again, Aiden wouldn't listen to his mother. Oh, looks like there's trouble in paradise here. Deborah wants to break up with Laura Lee. Laura Lee was livid. Laura Lee was livid. You bastard, you have no right! Aiden pointed at her. Shut the fuck up, or I'll come back there and beat the living shit out of you. He quickly raised his hand to stop Ridge from admonishing him again, keeping his eyes on Laura Lee. Don't you want to know why the bitch is breaking up with you? I can tell you why. Aiden leaned in. After you two split up, I went right up to Deborah and beat the living shit out of her. Laura Lee looked scared now. You're lying. Aiden smirked. No, I ain't. She's texting you from the hospital, ain't she? Didn't you wonder why she never came to afternoon classes? 'Cause I beat that fucking lesbian bitch within an inch of her life. I even broke some of her ribs. He shook his head. I'll beat the living shit out of you too. You ain't getting with no more girls, and I ain't letting no gays into my family. And don't think you're ever getting away from me. There's nowhere you can run where you can hide from me. You ain't getting with no more girls, you hear me? Aiden looked at Ridge. You want a gay daughter, huh? You want to come home someday and find your daughter naked in bed with another girl? Ridge seemed to be at a loss for words. Oh, it's true, Aiden turned back to Laura Lee. How many other girls have you been kissing, feeling up, huh? Tell me, Laura Lee, tell me, so I can beat the living shit out of them too. Laura Lee had been slowly heaving upon hearing Aiden's revelation. I hate you, she said in barely above a whisper. A tear slid down her cheek. What did you say? You gay bitch? Aiden suddenly reached out and slapped Laura Lee across the face. Come on, I'll beat the living shit out of you right now. You ain't my sister, and you never will be. I beat the living shit out of Deborah. I got a good mind to come back there and beat the living shit out of you for still talking to her. Before an angered Ridge could yell at Aiden, Laura Lee screamed with rage and lunged at him. You goddamn son of a bitch! Laura Lee screamed as she raked her fingers across his face. Aiden cried out in pain and again elbowed her in the face. Laura Lee lunged again, grabbing his blonde mullet. Get off me, dyke! I mean it! Aiden yelled. Laura Lee let go of his hair and raked his face again. This time, one of her nails dug deep into the pulp of Aiden's left eye, making him scream and bleed faster than from the other scratch wounds. Aiden retaliated by grabbing Laura Lee's hair and punching her face hard. Aiden kept pulling on her hair until he pulled her up into the front. Unfortunately, Laura Lee dropped right into Ridge's lap, causing her to lose control of the steering wheel. Before Ridge could think of what to do next, the car was suddenly slammed hard and sent rolling again and again. Ridge was barely able to comprehend that their car had suddenly turned and screeched sideways, and was T-boned by a speeding semi. The car slammed to a stop at the center barrier. And then, another semi-truck had plowed into them and sent them turning again. The present, Monday. Laura Lee yawned as she came into the kitchen of her apartment. Morning, Mom, she said through another yawn. It's about time you got up, Ridge replied. I was beginning to think you were going to keep hitting the snooze button. Laura Lee yawned again. Believe me, I was tempted, except Misty called me a little bit ago and woke me up. Then she suddenly felt worried. Listen, Mom, are you sure you're okay with me seeing Misty? Honey, we talked about this. Ridge replied softly. You don't have to worry about me judging you, she sighed. I just wish that things would have worked out better with Aiden. But we won't bring him up. Anyway, no, I'm perfectly okay with you seeing Misty Blint. She seems like such a nice girl from when I talked to her on the phone. Laura Lee looked at the clock on the microwave. Looks like you have to leave for work already. Ridge groaned a little. Please don't remind me. I'm sure I'll be home late, so you'll have to fend for yourself. Then why do it, Mom? Laura Lee asked. Dad left us set with plenty of insurance money when he died. Because I can't just sit around in this apartment all day, Ridge replied. I have to get out and stay active. That's why I go and work. Laura Lee yawned again. Okay, I guess I'll talk to you again when I talk to you. They exchanged pleasant goodbyes. When Ridge was gone, Laura Lee yawned again and decided to get some iced coffee out of the refrigerator. She poured herself a glass and started to drink it down when she heard the doorbell. Taking the glass with her, she went to answer. Hey, you! Misty Blint cheered. Laura Lee smiled. Hey! When Misty came in, they shared a romantic kiss. Laura Lee had just started her senior year at Strickfield High School when she met and became fast friends with Cheryl, Misty's older sister. When Cheryl introduced Laura Lee to Misty, it wasn't long before the two of them were seeing each other. As the school year went on, their dating turned into a serious relationship. You ready to go? Misty asked. Laura Lee yawned one more time. Yeah, let me finish my coffee first. You want? Misty brightened up. Hell yeah! Laura Lee prepared 2 to-go cups with the rest of the iced coffee. From there, the girls began their walk to Strickfield High School. Oh, did I just miss your mom again? Misty asked. I've never once seen her. I've only talked to her on the phone. In fact, when I called your landline a little bit ago, she answered and told me to come over and wake you up myself. She said she hates having to come into your room and shake you awake. After I talked to her, I called you and woke you up. I know how crabby you get when I shake you awake. Laura Lee laughed a little. Yeah, Mom had to hurry. You know how she likes to keep busy. Misty heard a chime on her smartphone and pulled it out. Cheryl's waiting for us. She says to hurry up. There's going to be an assembly in the gym where they'll be announcing shit about prom on Saturday, first thing. Laura Lee sighed. Ah, prom. The girls quickened their walk and soon made it to Strickfield High School. They easily found Cheryl in the gym sitting in the senior class section of the bleachers. She was the only girl with flaming red hair. It's about time you two got here, Cheryl scolded. Principal Van Diest is down there. It looks like he's getting ready to announce the Prom Queen candidates. You should be a shoo-in for that, sis, Misty said. Yeah, you're definitely hot, Laura Lee agreed. Then she turned to Misty. But not as hot as you, babe. Aw, thanks, Misty gushed. Cheryl didn't take offense, especially when her boyfriend, Davis Walsher, came to join them. Cheryl and Davis shared a quick peck before he sat down next to her. Morning, ladies, he cheered. Yeah, I see 3 potential prom queen candidates right here. Yeah, right, Laura Lee disagreed. I've got about as much of a chance of being nominated as I've got becoming the actual queen. Misty playfully slapped her arm. Hey, you stop that. You know any of these guys would love to go out with you. Laura Lee laughed a little. Nope, they know I'm gay, so they don't waste their time with me. The student body was seated before Principal Matthew Van Diest started to rattle off the morning announcements. The teens muttered among themselves before he finally got to the reason why the student body was forced to convene for an assembly. Okay, let's get to the Strickfield High Junior and Senior Prom. Now, as you all know, the title of Senior Prom Queen carries a lot of prestige here in the high schools of the Erie Shore Conference. This is mainly because the sororities of the area universities always tap these lucky winners. I'm talking full-ride scholarships here. Nearly every senior prom queen who's been accepted from Strickfield High has gone on to great things, so I won't bore you with any further details. Time to see who the 5 contestants will be out of our senior class. Then I'll announce the junior class contestants, and remember, both the junior and senior prom queen candidates are all based on the votes of their respective class bodies. Once the candidates are announced, voting will take place until the end of the school day on Friday. Again, by your respective class bodies. The junior and senior prom queen winners will be announced at the prom on Saturday night. And now, the senior prom queen nominees are... Principal Van Diest cleared his throat. Randy Robinson, Ellen Franks, Cheryl Blint, last year's junior prom queen crown winner, Taylor Mirren, and finally, Laura Lee gasped in complete shock when Principal Van Diest said her name. She barely had time to let it sink in when Cheryl suddenly grabbed her into a hug. "We did it, Laura Lee!" Cheryl cheered. "You and me, we did it!" Yeah, I guess we did," Laura Lee stammered. "Yeah, congrats, Laura Lee," Davis said sincerely. "But we both know you're going to win," Laura Lee said to Cheryl. "You're much more popular than me." "Hey now, don't cop that attitude. You have just as good a chance of winning as I do," Cheryl replied. "Just the same, may the best girl win." When the assembly broke up to go to first period, it wasn't long before a girl with long, frizzy blonde hair pushed in between Cheryl and Laura Lee. Then she pushed them away from her with 2 quick shoves. Neither girl fell to the floor, but they came close. Then the girl turned to face them. She reached out and shoved them both again, this time finally sending them both to the floor. As Misty and Davis were helping their significant others up, the girl who had just shoved them spoke up. "You two bitches might as well just stay down there. While you're at it, you can get on your knees and kiss my feet." "Oh shit," Laura Lee whispered. Cheryl didn't give such a reaction, but they both saw they were pushed by Taylor Mirren. Anybody who knew Taylor knew that she was, without a doubt, the absolute meanest girl at Strickfield High. Laura Lee remembered Cheryl telling her that Taylor was just pure evil in a beautiful girl's body. It was also no secret that Taylor Mirren had more money than she knew what to do with. Just after Taylor became junior class prom queen, her parents had both died in a plane crash. Early rumors had stated that Taylor herself had tampered with the plane prior to her parents leaving on their final flight. However, there was no evidence of tampering found. The crash had been linked to a circuit board failure. Taylor had genuinely screamed in utter shock when she had inherited everything. The total amount of properties, assets, accounts, and cash was in the 15-figure range. Taylor Mirren's newly acquired wealth made her quite independent. In fact, she was the only known student at Strickfield High who lived by herself. Even before she acquired her vast wealth, she was still considered quite evil. Her most notable quality, aside from her frizzy blonde hair and her large breasts, was being able to find seemingly every skeleton in a person's closet. She had destroyed many who dared to stand up to her. Taylor Mirren didn't waste any time. "Let's get something straight right here and now. You two are dropping out for senior prom queen. Right now. We both know that none of you have a snowball's chance in hell of going against one of me. So do us all a favor and quit." Taylor laughed and clasped her hands. "Or you can stay in and challenge me. I'll just destroy you in front of everybody. So please, please stay in and challenge me, because I really want to expose your dirty little secrets." Cheryl wasted no time. "Go to hell, Taylor. I'm seeing this all the way through to the end, and so is Laura Lee." "I am?" Laura Lee quickly thought to herself. Taylor laughed coldly. "Yes, I'm so glad you're both challenging me. When it comes to Ellen Franks and Randy Robinson, I'll have no problem beating those two losers out. They're really not that important here in Strickfield High. Yeah, Randy's on the track team, and she's good, but so what? Ellen's real big in the National Honor Society, a star in the drama club, and popular with the preps, many of whom I've got tightly wrapped around my little finger. It won't be hard for me to eliminate those bitches, especially with what I've already got on them. Such tasties. Oh, but I'm going to have so much fun with you two. You'll be worth saving. For last." Misty stepped away from Laura Lee. "Leave us alone." Taylor laughed coldly again before she quickly moved Misty to the floor. Taylor pointed to Cheryl. "Don't even think about it, bitch. Your baby sister should have known better than to think she could challenge me." She glared down at Misty. I'm Taylor Mirren. Taylor motherfucking Mirren. Don't you ever challenge me again. She pointed to Laura Lee. Or you. Okay, you're gay and out of the closet, so I can't use that against you. But believe me when I say I will find your deepest, darkest secrets. Last time. Drop out. Fuck you, Cheryl hissed. Laura Lee was upset at Taylor putting her hands on Misty. Fuck you, Taylor. She shook her head quickly. And why do you even need to win? Don't you have more than enough money to buy whatever you want? You can put yourself through college. Hell, you could buy your own college. Taylor chuckled. You've been paying attention. I like that. She quickly raised her finger. My inheriting my family's fortune doesn't change a goddamn thing. I still love to fight for everything I want. Well, I want the senior class prom queen crown and the prestige of having won both crowns back to back. You see, it's all about prestige. And now that I've given you your valuable lesson for today. Without warning, Taylor snatched Laura Lee's iced coffee, quickly popped the top, and splashed it right in Cheryl's face. Cheryl screamed and fell to her knees. My eyes! As Davis moved to help his girlfriend, Taylor struck again. She grabbed Misty by her spaghetti strap top and used enough force to rip it open completely down the middle. Then she shoved Misty away. Taylor smiled scornfully as other students were gawking or laughing at Misty's nudity. Laura Lee quickly removed her sweater and helped Misty slip it on. Game on, Taylor declared, before she turned away and left. When school was out, Laura Lee and Misty left and walked back to Strickfield Cove, the apartment complex where Laura Lee lived. I'm just glad Cheryl's okay, Laura Lee said. Yeah, the nurse was able to flush the coffee out of her eyes, Misty replied. She looked down at Laura Lee's sweater, which she was still wearing. I can't believe that fucking bitch. You sure you don't want to stop at your house and get a t-shirt or something? Laura Lee asked. Misty smiled and took Laura Lee's hand. I really don't want to have to explain to Mom and Dad why I left home wearing a top and why I'm coming back home without it. No, I'll feel better if I grab one of my tops from your apartment. As soon as the girls reached Strickfield Cove, Laura Lee unlocked her door. The girls went straight to Laura Lee's room. She turned to Misty. Good thing I let you use a few of my drawers for when you stay here. I'll change real quick, Misty said. Then we can do whatever. Misty unbuttoned the sweater Laura Lee had loaned her and removed it. She opened one of the drawers Laura Lee let her use and pulled out a similar top from what she wore at school. When she turned and saw Laura Lee looking at her, she stopped and dropped the top. Laura Lee stared at Misty's naked upper body and smiled. Come here. Misty moved right to her. Laura Lee snatched her into her arms, and they kissed passionately. The girls lost themselves in each other as they both fell onto the bed. Laura Lee woke up and snatched up her smartphone from her nightstand. Seeing that Misty was still sleeping soundly, she got out of bed and moved to her mother's bedroom across the hall. She knew she needed to call Ridge to check on her. She tapped the entry at the top of the phone's call history and waited. Hey, Mom. You're working late again? Sure, yeah. Misty's here with me. Yeah? Well, don't drive all the way home if you're too tired. Yeah, I can manage. Not a problem. I will. Oh, I certainly will. I love you too. Bye. When the call ended, Laura Lee saw that she had a few unread emails. She decided to read them before returning to Misty. The first email was about some exciting new offer from Higbee's department store over in Shore City. The second email was her monthly newsletter from Denoyer's Grill about some new menu items and specials. She was considering waking Misty and seeing if she wouldn't mind going to Denoyer's Grill for a late meal. But it was when she reached the last email that she dropped her smartphone like a hot skillet. Oh my fucking God, she choked out. Even though Laura Lee was naked, that wasn't the reason why she was shaking. Slowly, she squatted down and picked up her phone. Then she looked with wide eyes when she saw the email from Aiden, her older brother. Aiden had been gone from her life for a good 2 years. Why did he wait until now to get in touch with her? And how the hell had he gotten her email address? She forced herself to read the email from Aiden. Did you really think you were getting away from me, Laura Lee? Did you really think I wouldn't learn you're in Strickfield now? I told you before 2 years ago, and I'll tell you again now. There's nowhere you can run, nowhere you can hide from me. I'm here in Strickfield. After what happened 2 years ago, I never stopped thinking about you. Not for a second. You even have a new girlfriend now. Guess I'll have to let Misty know how things work in our family, huh? But make no mistake, I am here, and I will make your life a living hell like you made mine the last couple of years. Watch your back, because I'll get you, especially Misty, when you least expect it. Laura Lee was already crying softly by the time she finished reading the email. God damn you, Aiden, she thought. Why can't you just leave me and Mom alone? We moved to Strickfield to have a new life together, away from you. Why can't you just let us be happy? Why can't you just let me be happy? Laura Lee turned off her smartphone and returned to her bedroom. She put the phone back on the nightstand and got back into bed with Misty. It was a great comfort to Laura Lee to hold her girlfriend, but she knew she wouldn't be getting back to sleep anytime soon. Laura Lee knew it would only be a matter of time before Aiden would come for her. It wasn't a question of if, but when. Well, my friends, it looks like things are about to get pretty hairy at Strickfield High, and I can't wait to reveal to you part 2 next week. This is, of course, part of Rob Field's Strickfield universe. All the stories Rob writes on Weekly Spooky take place in the same terrifying universe. There are monsters, ghosts, killers, and worse. I hope you're enjoying the first ever mini-series on Weekly Spooky. I think it's a ton of fun, and I hope you're chewing on your fingernails, worrying about what's going to happen next week. Where and when will Aiden make himself known? I can't wait to find out, but I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to tune in next Wednesday to find out. And a huge thank you to all of our brand new Patreon backers. You guys are really helping me keep the show going, and you've really touched me. You've really made my dark, dark heart so warm with your comments about how much you enjoy the show, how you listen to it on your way to work, how you listen to it when you're trying to relax. It means a lot to me. If you want to ever write me any notes at all, you can send me an email at weeklyspooky@gmail.com or join the Patreon where you can message me directly. Just go to weeklyspooky.com and click on Patreon. That's a phenomenal way you can support us. Or you can go to store and buy yourself a terrifying piece of Weekly Spooky memorabilia or clothing. Speaking of the Patreon, I want to say a big thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit extra to have their names spoken on the show. Those are Gino Lyons, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, Jeff and George Hilton, Craig Cohen, Rob Fields, and Kevin Fry. Thank you all so much for listening. It's going to be a new and terrifying year, I assure you. I'm going to do my part to keep the scares coming for you. And remember, if you go to audibletrial.com/spooky, get a free month of Audible on us. It helps the show a lot. So anyway, my friends, for myself, for my composer Ray Mattis, and my producer Dan Wilder, I will talk at you next week with another installment of Prom Queen Killer.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me.